amazing day at fmtraining.tv, where we're here to discuss the fantastic and amazing FileMaker platform. My name is Margaret. I'll be your broadcast engineer for today. Basically, we're here to discuss, I believe, auto entry versus calculations in FileMaker, which should be interesting. With Nick, of course. Nick is always here to bring up awesome new topics that we've never really considered before. Sometimes I hear people say, "Oh, I can't believe I never thought of that," or "Oh, this will really change my development because of Nick's stuff." Is always really great. We love seeing that. Quick reminder: we stream on 3 platforms. We stream on YouTube, we stream on Discord, and we stream on Twitch. I follow the conversations in all of those. Please ask questions. Please chat to us. Please interact. We'd love to hear it. We'd love to see it. We're here to help encourage the FileMaker community, help make it more interactive, and help exchange information in the FileMaker community so people can become better developers, and then share that information themselves when the time comes. So, and what are we doing for the schedule? Schedule's always fun. So tomorrow's going to be an open FileMaker server Q&A with Jacob Taylor, which should be entertaining. I highly recommend that. Those are always entertaining. Monday is going to be Monkey Bread and Screenshots. RC did some coding with MBS the other day, and he wants to discuss it. Tuesday is going to be translations using FileMaker with Jonathan Ray, which should be interesting. And then Wednesday and Thursday is going to be the ASC2 table, Unicode, basically, manipulating text and numbers in FileMaker with Nick again. So that'll be also really fun. Day 1 and day 2 of that. As always, if you've got ideas or things that you'd like to see talk about on live streams or consider, let us know. We always love hearing them. We always love throwing them by people, considering them for posting. A lot of people have suggested ideas that have gone into the live stream. So it's not like we just ask for ideas, we never use them. Those get used, I promise you. So in that case, if you'd like to support the channel, feel free to buy our Learning FileMaker annual subscription. It's 100 plus hours of video content. It's a lot of stuff. We talk about pretty much everything. We talk about all the platforms, of course, Pro, WebDirect Go, deploying with server or cloud. There's even FileMaker for startups and entrepreneurs, so the basics of business with FileMaker. That's kind of an interesting topic in and of itself. We've talked about pretty much everything. We've got a lot of really fantastic trainers: Nick, Calvin, Richard, and then of course Jacob. All those people are discuss and cover their own unique topics. It's a lot of stuff. It's really in depth. It helps support the channel, helps keep the free stuff going, and you'll learn a lot from it, I hope. So feel free to do that. And if you have already, we thank you very much. We do greatly appreciate it. With that being said, Nick, I think we're good to go. So how do you want to start off today's conversation?
Okay. First, today we are going to talk about auto entry calculation. And I understood that he was kind of rocking bumpy start yesterday on Discord, right? So between 2 of our friends. And so I want to make the thing clear, okay? There's no do what I'm doing and don't think about, right? I never said that. And I will explain everything because you have the pros and the cons on every single technique, right? But let's, burst the open doors. It's a expression we have in France, burst the open doors, yes, it's true. Auto entry calculations, okay, are way faster than any script you're going to do. Okay, so that being said, it's a set field. It's slower than an auto entry calculation. It's more complicated to get an auto entry calculation that works well. Okay, the script is more forgiving. Okay, but it doesn't make the script better. It's not because it lets you do stupid things that the script is better. The best is to get you to do the right thing, right? Okay, so that's what I'm going to try to do. The auto entry calculation and the difference between those two, the difference between the calculation fields, a type of calculation, auto entry calculation, and the set fields with, set field with scripts is 3 different things. Okay, at some points, yes, the set field can replace an auto entry calculation. At some point, auto entry calculation can replace a set field, but doesn't make any sense to say, oh, I'm not using set field in a script anymore. Doesn't make any sense. Or to say, oh, I'm not going to use a unstored calculation anymore. Doesn't make any sense. So, because there's many ways in many applications where unstored calculation are useful and somewhat mandatory, okay? And sometimes the auto-entry calculation is the best or the unique way we can do to get, to get the results you want. And sometimes the set field is the only way to do that, right? The auto-entry calculation is not going to replace everything. But I'm going to explain to you how to use auto-entry calculation. For what I'm going to give you some example, and I'm going to pretty much answer the topic we had yesterday, the discussion we had on Discord yesterday. So the discussion on Discord was that sometimes you can get auto-entry calculation that are slower, okay, than a set field with a script, okay, which is true. And I can make a set field with a script so slow that it will crash FileMaker. I can make it, okay? So it's not the reason to say I'm not using set field in the script anymore. No, okay. So let me share my screen, okay? And let's start the conversation and to make it clear for everybody. So, okay. So I'm going to hide this for now. Okay. So, first of all, in FileMaker, we have different type of calculation. We have the calculation field, okay? That's a type of field. Calculation field, it's something that has the particularity that you cannot edit it, You can't edit the field. You can go into the field, you can select, copy, whatever, but you cannot modify, you cannot delete, you cannot edit. It's a calculation field. FileMaker is going to give you the answer of the calculation, okay? So that the first type of calculation, the type calculation. And within this, within the calculation, you can say the result. What's the result? A text, a number, a date, a time, a timestamp, and a container. So you have within the type of field calculation, you have the result as all the field type of FileMaker. Okay? So FileMaker has all those field types. See? A calculation can be all of them. Right? So it's very important because if you want the result to be a number, right? It's better to make it number. Otherwise, you won't work, or date, or whatever. So, what the difference between this and an auto-entry calculation? The difference is simple. A calculation is always calculated. It's always calculated. So that means FileMaker will go across the table and make sure that every single record gets the right results all the time. Okay? That is what we call an unstored calc. An unstored calc, FileMaker will get the result to be calculated all time. But there's many what's the name? Many ways that this will work. Okay, the calculation in FileMaker will work. We have different behavior depending on how you use it. For example, the first thing I want to tell, if you have a calculation like this, an unstored calc, okay, and you don't show it in the layout, you don't show it, FileMaker, right, won't compute the calculation until somebody else in FileMaker, something else will call the calc. For example, I'm not showing the age here, but if I have a script that says, that calls, that call, for example, you say, okay, set variable, and you call in this variable, you're going to call the age, right? Then FileMaker will compute, FileMaker will compute will calculate, will trigger the calculation because you're calling it, okay? So the calculation here, so we have, look, I'm not going to explain the calculation during all this session. I'm not going to explain this because you need 3 or 5 topics webinar just for this. I'm going to tell you why this is not the right way to be used and how you can prevent that to happen. Because you can tell me what you want. If you do complicated calculation, and if you have a lot of calculation, unstored calculation like this one, okay, you're going to have a very sluggish responsiveness, okay? So it's slow. Okay. So now I'm getting this example because it's a good example. The age, for example, you have many things to say. You have many ways to use the calculation or the auto entry calculation. For example, let's say creation date. I have a creation date here, right? And I want to know, okay? And I want to know, right, if this contact, for example, is less or has been created this year, has been created, for example, this week or not, okay? So I want this week, okay, this week date, okay? Okay, this week, is that has been created this week, okay? And that will be yes, no, right? That will be a tag, this is tag, tag created this week, okay? It's a number. And I want to know if this has been created this week or not. And let's say it's a calculation, okay? So I'm making a calculation and I want to say, what's the name? Get current date minus creation date, okay, is less than 15 or 7, okay, for example. So it's less than 7 days, okay. This will do, okay. So let's put back 2 calculations. I have 2 calculations. You have age, right, and I have the tag this week. Okay, so yes, it has been created this week. Okay, so created this week. I have the tag. You should know now how to use this. Okay, it's a Boolean. So creation this week, yes. If I change this and I change to 21, it said no. 22, it said yes. If I said last month, no. But if I said this month, yes. If I said the 1st of April, no. But if I said like yesterday, yes. Right? Okay. So here I have a way to tell me if that field has been created this week. I want to know. Sometimes, you want to know. But what happened if the day change of the computer, right? So what happened here? So where's the date? Oh, here. And I'm changing the date. And I'm putting myself in the future. Okay? Putting myself in the future. I change to the future. Save. Yeah, okay, close. Normally, it should have said, so if I say new, it should have said no, yeah. So, oh, because I didn't say this, sorry for that. Unstored calculation, I'm going to explain that. So if I say unstored calculation, yeah. So now it changed. Okay. So let's say I'm putting back myself today. It will say yes. It should say yes, but I don't know what. Okay, yes. So you need to move something, right? You say yes. If I put myself in the future, I go back. He said no. So I didn't do anything. Just refresh of the window, right? So because I have an unstored calculation, okay? Unstored calculation. So that is the way you have to get in sync all the time, you know, because you change the date when the computer, for example, tomorrow automatically, if that needs to become yes, it will become yes automatically. Okay? So this is how FileMaker unstored calculation works. Unstored calculation means not indexed. Okay? So because if you start to index your calculation, right? If you index your calculation, the things start to work a little bit like an auto entry calculation. Okay? So look, the calculation itself, this itself needs to be explicated very well. But I want to focus on auto entry calculation. Why? It's because I want you guys, I'd like to explain to you that you need to go away from that. Okay? So the same for the what's the name? The age. Okay? The age change with the year. You know, you calculate the year of the date of birth. So you get the year of now, the year of the current date, minus the year of the date of birth, and then you have the age of the guy. Okay? And then you can say, you can have a tag like this to say a major, you know, is major, a tag. So you can say, for example, calc that says what's the name? The age, okay, like this, for example, you know, the age is strictly superior or equal at 18, right? And you make that an unstored calculation. It's a number, right? It's a tag. So now you have here to say if this guy like this, no, this one, okay? So is it major? Okay. And now you say, yes, it's major, right? But if you say 2000, 2010, okay, it's no, it's not major, right? So, right? So this is how you change the thing, right? So, but all of those works super well, but more and more and more now, you are charging, you are, you know, putting weight on the back of the donkey, okay? More and more you have problem, okay? More and more you have problem here. And the big problem you have is because you are referring to the get current date. So I can say get, all the get stuff. All the get stuff works only if you have unstored calculation. Otherwise, it won't work. Or it will work only at the time you enter data. And here where we start talking about the auto entry calculation. But there's sometimes, okay, you can use unstored calculation without fear, okay? For example, this example here, you want at all time, you want to get the record numbers, okay? So like this. Here I have a record number here, 1, 2, okay? New 3, 4, 5. So, you have Maud, and you have Kyle, and you have Jacob, and you have Rick, and you have Christian, and you have, I don't know, Miles, okay, and you have David, and you have, I don't know, Dana, okay? Okay, so I have, oops, okay, where's my FileMaker? Here, okay. So you have all those guys, and you want, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, always you want a count here, right? But if I ignore Rick, and if I ignore Kyle, and if I ignore Christian, you see, I always have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, always. It's not, always in sync, always, okay? Why? It's because I have a unstored calculation that says, give me right now, all the time, instantly, all the time, give me the record number, all the time. Despite every single state, I want the record number, right? So you can understand if you have something like that with 10 million records, you have a problem, okay? So if I say sure, automatically it is going to reflow completely, right? It's going to reflow what's the name? The record number. And you have problem when you want to do this and you use, like this under, related records. Because you are related records that points to an unstored calculation, right? So then you start slowing down things, Here you start doing slug things, okay? And you shouldn't do this, okay? So now, to get this and to replace the calculation, the unstored calculation, to replace this, there's techniques with the auto entry calculation. And here we are going to start talking about this, right? And so now, okay, I want to replace this with the auto entry calculation. And here where the things start to be interesting, okay? First of all, you need to use your brain cells, like Hercule Poirot, the gray cells, right? So you need to use them and tell yourself, okay, when the current date is changing, when? How many times that happen? So it happens once a day at midnight, and 1 second the date change. And for 24 hours, there's no way the date can change. Are we okay with this? Okay. There's no way. It cannot change unless California invent a new way, but, so far we can, right? So how to replace everything you need to use for example, imagine you have a status that says, you have a status, and the status, you have a calc, right? That says, for example, the get current date is superior of, for example, I don't know, let's close this. let's say you have a, what did I do? Oh, this was age, right? I renamed it. Okay, let me discard this. I did something. Let's say you have a status, right, that points to the get current date. Let's say you have, you want to say, oh, it's past due, or, oh, you need 15 days. Let's say you have a due date. You have a due date and you want to count down how many days remains. So all of this, you say, I need to use get current date. How I can do that? No, you can do otherwise. You have a date, you have a current date, and I call that scheduled. Scheduled. Okay? It's a date, right? And by default, it's the creation date. Okay. Now, what is this? You have, okay, a field in every single table where you need that. Let's say, for example, I need to know what day it is today in the contact because I have the age calculation and I have whatever, I have the age calculation, I have the creation this week tag. So I have many things that points to this, right? So in every single table where you need this to happen, okay, you go, okay, so now that I have this current date scheduled, I can say, right, on every single of my calculation to point to that field, okay, and not anymore on the get current date. Get current date, phew, go away. Okay. Okay. So now it's the time for you to understand clearly and to open your ears, okay, and to listen. When an auto entry calculation is going to be triggered, there's two ways, okay, to trigger an auto entry calculation, right? So let me put the current date here. Today is this, okay? So today is my day. We are the 28th. I need to put back my dates. I say, whoa. Not because it's my birthday on the 26th, and I say, I didn't celebrate my birthday yet. Okay. So today date, okay, this better. Top. Okay. So now, listen carefully. Two ways to trigger an auto entry calculation. When you first create a record, that's what we call auto entry calculation, okay? That's what they call this auto enter, this is auto entry, calculated value. They don't actually, okay. It's funny because FileMaker has many issues with this. They have issues on naming things. Why? It's because throughout the time, across the history of FileMaker, they change behaviors, okay? They change behaviors. They change how things works. At the beginning, auto entry calculation were triggered only when you create an auto entry. That means when you enter something, okay? So when you first create the record, for example, here, right? It says automatically I have the creation date, okay? Creation date, right? So the creation date is the April 14, 2022. So, and my current date says that I am on the April 14, 22. So the guy says, so this tag here says, yes, it is created today. So you understand, when I created a record, I just created a record, automatically it comes with is going to fill up things, right? In order to in order to get what I ask him to do. For example, for the current date, I ask him to get me the creation date. Okay, so I'm going to create a record, and it's going to put the creation date. Putting the creation date, right? Here, this tag here, we say, okay, no problem. You go, okay, the tag says, my current date, it says creation date as well, okay? The automatically, you have, so I have, the current date is the date of today. And then I have this, the creation date is the date. And then automatically, so because you start a new record, and automatically you have things coming in, then all the thing is following like a domino effect. Okay, you start with this. Okay, now you have another field requiring this field to be the information of this field. If the information of this field is met, and the information of this field is met, then it can do the calculation and will automatically give you. So that's the first way, okay, to change, to trigger the calculation. Okay. The second way is to modify whatever field that is in that calculation. Here I'm referring to two fields, okay? Two fields. So what happens if I change this, the creation date, okay? And I put 21. This here, so we are looking the creation this week. We said no, boom. Why? Why it changed, okay? Okay, first of all, it's still a calculation, but let's say I'm changing this into an auto entry calculation. Okay, so now I'm doing this, he said yes. I'm doing this, he said no, right? Because I changed the creation date. What happens if I'm changing, put back, I'm changing the current date, okay? Why didn't change the current? Auto entry calculator. Why didn't change? Current date schedule. Why didn't change this? Okay, this is a. Oh yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, it's stupid me. Yeah, it's on the. I need to be in the future. Okay, let's say I'm changing the current date, right? And I said, creation this week. Okay, so I said yeah. Here he said no, yes, no. Okay. So if I change this field, or if I change this field, it will change automatically. Okay. Because I am asking, I'm calling one of the two fields. So now, if I'm changing the first name, nothing happened. You know, if I blank this and I change the first name, nothing happened. Why? Because I have nothing to do with the two fields called in that calculation here. Nothing to do. I don't have the first name and I don't have the last name. So he has no reason to trigger the auto entry calculation. So now you said, how do I get the current date, right? And why I called it scheduled. So why? Why I called it scheduled? Because I just told you The date is changing once a day. You can do whatever you want, even living in California. The day change at midnight and 0.0000001 second. Okay, that it doesn't change any time after that until reach midnight and 0.00001 second. Okay, so it won't change. So it makes sense to use two things. First of all, imagine that you have the status, like I told you, you have a status that says, let's say I have a due date or reminder date. You know, let's say I have a date here of the reminder. Okay, and I have here I have reminder. Yeah, status. Day remain. Okay, remaining day. Remaining day. How many days from now and the reminder date? Okay, so far so good. So how you do this? Auto entry calculation, right? And you say current minus the date of reminders. Okay, reminding date. Okay, so it is a number, right? And it's an auto entry calculation. So let's say I'm putting those two fields here. So I want the date of let's change the order of this. Okay. So I have date here. Let's put the calendar. I want to 13. It has 16 days. Okay. Okay. Let's do the opposite. Then we can have a positive number. Okay. Okay. So 16 days. Okay. But if I put get current date here, okay, there's no way on the auto entry calculation this will change. You know, you need to have a physical action. You need to do a modification. You need either to create a record, right, with the reminder date, okay, or you need to modify the date, okay. So, but here, the get current date will never automatically, if I change this and I put get current date, it will work only when you change the reminder date. When you enter the reminder, but for example, tomorrow, it won't change the count here and says 15. It won't with the get current date. Or you need to go back to the unstored calculation like I showed you at the beginning, right? And get things slow. So because now I have a lot of things counting on, you know, on the auto entry calculation and previously on the get current date. First of all, I want to change the age. I want to change the age, right? So I have this calc, right? And I'm going to change this one as well and to make it an auto entry calculation. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 calculation that was previously unstored calculation, that means slow. And now with one good common sense, everything will work like a charm. Let me explain. All of those points, okay, this one points to this field. This one points to this field, the schedule date. Okay, this one points to this field, the schedule date, and this one points to age that points to the get current date. Okay? So, now, let's say I am modifying the date of today, boom. So, the field that says current date, I change it. So, automatically, right? Automatically, everything's changed, you know, because I am modifying one field that all those auto entry calculations are referring to. Okay? So now, what happens if I'm doing this, you know? Okay? So, or if I'm doing, I don't know, let's say I'm doing like this. Boom. So age, I have a, you know, it changed completely, right? So my calculations are wrong here, but it's okay. Let's say I'm putting in the future because this will work better. Okay. So it changed completely, changed all, right? It changed all the thing, right? So I don't know why it says this. Why the age doesn't work correctly? Age 2022. Why? Something wrong with my age. What did I do? Year get trended and year DOB. Oh yeah. So why doing this? It's a number. I don't know why you say that. Why said 2022? Oh, I don't have a date of birth. Okay, look, my bad. That's why I was surprised that nothing works. Let's say, no, yeah. 26, 1971. Okay? Okay, now it's better. See, if I'm putting myself 10 years before, okay, I'm 39 years old, right? Okay, and the date reminder is 4,400, you know, days. And if I put myself more in the past, like this, you know, okay, here I'm not born, right? But if I say, I don't know, 72, okay, I'm 1 year old, I'm not majored, okay, and if I'm putting myself in 89, I'm major now, okay. So see, so when you change one field, everything's wrong. Change the major, the age, okay, and the reminder date. Okay. So if I put today, boom, everything shrunk. So why we call that schedule is because you need, you know, get current date script that goes to all the layouts pointing to this. Let's say you have this and you say replace field content, right? And you say this you replace with the get current date. Okay? And let's say you need that on two tables. You want that also on the account table. So you duplicate this and you say, okay, go to account, and change into account as well. So you have two. And you go to your server, and you say, schedule script. I'm going to show you that another day, but it's easy. You go to the server and you say, at midnight and 1 minute, every night, run this script. So this script will go to all the table, replace the current date field with the get current date. and automatically all your records will get all the auto entry calculation updated. All the auto entry calculation that points to that field will change automatically. The edge has no reason to work. No reason to work. No reason to change. Right? Constantly. The edge is not going to change every single instant of the creation. It's going to change once a year. So we can even go further in the optimization, but I'm going to show that later. But do we have any questions so far?
Not at the moment. I don't see any.
So it is important to understand this, to understand that now imagine you have all of those with unstored calculation. Super slow. It's super slow.
Actually, real quick, we do have one that just popped up. I love this, but does it destroy? But this does destroy and negate the use of modified timestamps, correct?
Yeah, it's correct. Yeah, but I'm not using the modified timestamp like that. I understand, but you can always find. Okay, those things, this, okay, has been invented in 1984. Since 1984, we changed many things, right? I understand, you want the modification. Yes, you will change the modification. Yes, there's no, what's the name? No question, about it, no question about it. But there's other ways, to get the modification timestamp than doing this, okay? There's many ways to do that differently, to not using this. Anyway, I'm not using this because it's sometime today, okay, we use global fields for, many things. We update IDs to do the transfer of font sets. We modify fields. We have what we call, what's the name? Duty fields. The fields that we use to get things outside of just the data entry, right? So you are not going to shoot yourself in the foot or in the head, by the way, just because, I want my get modifying that. There's other ways to do that, right? And to get the modification, the date, when it's modified, you have other ways to do that. So my favorite is on record commit, but it's my way. I have other ways. I'm going to do a webinar out of this, how to change those things, and actually you will get the control. Here you have absolutely no control with this, absolutely no control. So we use many things, like I showed you yesterday, for example, with the filtering, using a field to filter. So you're not going to use that technique just I want my modification timestamp. So pretty much you're going to use FileMaker like in 1985 because you want your modification timestamp now. So yes, that will change the modification timestamp. But so sounds like a new stream. Yeah, exactly, Ken. Because pretty much, I tell you the truth. This I don't use it. This I don't use it. Very rarely I'm using this. Because there's other way now. We go away from those things. FileMaker keeps that, okay? But sometimes they're useful. You know what I mean? It's not because we don't use, who use this? No, honestly, we will use insert calculated results. I want to know. Or who use insert text? Nobody uses this. I'm using that maybe once every 4 years, like the sun eclipse, because but it was a time, FileMaker 2, I think, it was the only way because we didn't have set field. We didn't have set field. It was insert calculation, right? So we were using those, but I'm still using this for one particular things, right? I'm using that for one thing, like using the creation. Yeah, the creation is useful because you always want the creation. The modification, sometimes you don't. So this I'm not using much. Serial number, I'm not using that much, neither. Or for what it was intended for, like, oh, I want the invoice number 001. So I want an invoicing numbering like this. I'm using for that. But anyway, so you understand my point here. So it's not because we don't use that anymore that I mean, we use differently because we have different needs, okay? And we have different techniques that evolve, but it's not because I'm not using it much or most of the developer are not using that much that we need to remove it, right? So yes, so the auto entry calculation has many ways to work. First, so now you know that the auto entry calculation, every field, right, that are inside here, if one of those is modified, right, then it triggers the results. Yeah. So now I want to show you the auto entry calculation that works on itself. Okay? Because I want, for example, like I showed yesterday, right? I want to do something like that. I'm creating a new account, okay? And I want, so let's remove this, automatically to have something here. I want something to be there, okay? Auto entry calculation, okay? I want that. I don't want this field to be empty. I don't want this field to be empty whatsoever. I don't. Okay. So if I delete this, boom, it's coming back. I delete this, boom, it's coming back. So you can use triggers and on object enter and on object modify and on object save, validate, whatever. Okay. You can use that if you want to complicate your life. Okay. I prefer to use an auto entry calculation that points on itself. Okay. So here I'm saying if the field I'm in, because the auto entry calculation is attached to a field, is part of the field definition. Okay. So anywhere here where I have a calculation, here I can use self. Here I can use self. Okay. Anywhere where here I can use self because it points to the field itself. Okay. So if it's empty self, then I want the words new account. Otherwise, I want whatever in self. If I do this, hear what happened. Because I know many people, if I do this, it happened this. Bim, blank. Because you said, right? You said if it's empty, this, otherwise blank. No, you want otherwise whatever the guy is going to enter. So if it's empty, the field I'm in, I want this. Otherwise, I want everything that is on the field. Okay, self. So now it works like intended. I put Nick, everything works. If I put blank, new account. Nick, no problem. Blank, boom. Okay, so that's a good thing. Now, I want to we are going to have multiple days on this topic, okay? This is the first day. We are going to have 2 or 3 days. But I want to show you something before we go, okay? Something I shouldn't show you, but anyway. I have here, I'm working for a company that is importing thousands, even millions of records. Importing. So the topic, the fights, the battle, it was a battle. The battle which we saw yesterday on Discord, I see only one reason an auto entry calculation to be slow, right? Is when you import data. And that's why, by the way, and really, I'm not saying this, but you can tell me, every single developer should thank me, okay? And you can call Clay McKill if you want, or if you can call Robert Olsey, because, and you can do it, because I am the guy who asked, okay. So, oops. I don't know why I got my. So I ask for this. When you do the auto entry, when you import data, it's like creating a record. You're creating a record. That means that you are triggering all the auto entry calculation. Can you imagine here all the auto entry calculation I have? All the auto entry calculation, all of this. Okay? And I need to import millions of records. Millions. Not one, millions. So the technique is there. And you can thank me because I asked this when I redesigned the import dialog. Now it is possible to say, here the field I want to import, right? This is the field I want to import. But I want only that auto entry calculation, that auto entry calculation, that auto entry calculation, and none of the above. None. Okay? So if you go to the what's the name? To this one here, that is bigger, right? Here, all of those, I'm doing one only. One auto entry calculation. So that means I'm importing everything. Okay? And then I'm post-processing the auto entry calculation. I'm post-processing. So you see, how the hell you're going to post-process something like this? An auto entry calculation. Because I have in this table, that table, I have pretty crazy auto entry calculation. And that is killing the argument of yesterday. For example, imagine this, what I have. Let's, look at this. Look at this. This is how, so I have, not only I have a case, which is unfortunately the slowest way to process something in FileMaker, but I'm referring to relationships, to something related, right? And you can believe me or not, this was before a perform find on this, and put what's the name? And put the what's the name? The grading 1, 2, 3, 7. Find this with perform find and put the grade. Find this and perform find and put the grade. Find this. So they had perform find, perform find, perform find, perform find. Okay. Before, and I don't ask you to believe me, this is the script here, the 4132. Okay. The last time I process it, 4132. Yeah. Last time I processed it was on the April 7, right? It took me to process 1 million records. Sorry. Here I process 5 million records. Here I processed 500,000 records. Okay. So on 500,000 records, it took 8 minutes to process those auto entry calculations that I have in this table. Okay, the table here. All of those, like this, with calculation like this, right? This trigger, the postcode, okay. Not only it is a good technique, but it is a good technique if you use the good technique from the get-go to the end. I'm using the good technique I'm using the let statement, and that my calculation. If this 0, then this. It's very simple. So I'm using, everything is optimized to the nail, okay? Of course, if you use one good technique and 2,000 bad technique behind it, you will get a bad result. Even though, I used a good technique. Nick said, auto entry calculation works well. I use it, but everything else I'm doing behind it is wrong. It won't help. It's a combination of multiple things that will make that the auto entry calculation will be efficient. So here I have the proof. 8 minutes was 500,000 records. And then it took me 7 minutes to do the same thing. Why? Because I optimized 2 calculations, right? So I got it better, okay? But this is the time so you will say, okay, that's good, but how many times with the perform find they were using before? You want to know? 17 hours. 17 hours. 17 hours. And I can call the customer and to come here and to, but we use, and why this is good. Why this is good. I'll tell you why, and I'm going to stop there. It is not possible, I repeat, it is not possible to import, or it's difficult to import import files from Excel, for example, like this one. Imagine that we are talking about this. We are talking about 90 megabyte Excel files, CSVs, 90 megabyte CSV. Can you imagine? Okay, it's 500,000 records. Okay, so we use importing file like, for example, I want to import the file. So I want to import the records, and then you can see what's going on here. I have a technique. Script on server. This happened on server. And how? Using a trigger. You remember I told you that any field involved into an auto entry calculation will trigger that calculation. Any field involved in the auto entry calculation will trigger the calculation. So if I modify this, boom, I'm going to change the, if I modify this, boom. Okay? So using that technique, this is what you need to do. You import, you have your script importing, you import your stuff. You import your stuff doing no auto entry calculation, none, just one for the ID because I need it, Okay. So what happened next? You said you launch on server. You say, okay, go on server, retrieve all the records I just imported, right? Why is coming back? Retrieve all the records I just imported, right? And then I have one trigger, one field that I am going to call in every single of my auto entry calculation in a let statement. This field here has no meaning. It doesn't change anything. It's just there, right, to launch all of them. It's just there to launch the auto entry calculation. That only reason is there, the trigger, it's a let statement with one statement here saying, okay, I want to refer to that field, but it doesn't, I don't call that field. I don't need that field. I just use that field because I'm going on server. I'm going to retrieve all the records, and I'm going to replace that field with the get current timestamp, okay? And then automatically all my auto entry calculations that call that field will be triggered. Even though if you have a related field, because I'm calling this, I'm forcing the auto entry calculation to work. I'm forcing it. I have a let statement. This, I don't give a damn of this. I don't call it in any of my stuff in calculation. It's just there to say trigger. It's a trigger. So my script here is doing this, So it's doing, go there, export, import, insert, where is there? No, it's not this one. Where is the imports? Here, right? So, no, it's not this one. Where is this? Launch, queue, open, launch. I don't remember which one it is. Launch import files. Yes, okay. So here, my script here will do all the thing, right? It goes, and at the end, it does the importation. It does all, and at the end, it's going to replace. It's going to perform a script, update server. No, it's not this one. I don't remember what it is. Anyway, you have a script. So yeah, I have this. It imports, right? I'm doing the importation. And then if error, blah, blah, blah. I don't remember what it's doing, but it's doing something. So look, it does importation. And then I have a post-process, here. So when I import the records, and then I'm triggering on server. So I'm importing locally, I import the records as fast as possible without anything, without any auto entry calculation. And then I have a post-process, like this script here that says retrieve, perform find, with those two IDs, and then you do the replace. You replace what's the name? The trigger. So you do two replace here, okay? you have the replace on this. So I replace this trigger modification, right? And all the auto entry calculation relate to that trigger will be triggered. So that lets me use the benefits of the auto entry calculation without the impediments of triggering everything when you import, because I agree with, I don't remember his name, the person that was fighting with Kyle, don't remember. How's his name?
Josh, I think.
Yeah, Josh. I agree with him. I agree with him. If locally I am importing, hold on. If locally I am importing records in that table, triggering all those auto entry calculations locally in my machine locally, the import will be like 5 days, you know, because I calculated it does 10 records per minute, and you have 500,000 records. So, you know, I'll let you do the calculation. Right?
Yes. And with
Okay,
that...
so no, I mean, Kyle will do a SQL stuff. So you understand, it's slow because everything local. And so yes, I agree with Josh. 2 billion auto entry calculation can be super slow. It can be, okay, but only when you import a batch of records. Because if I go in that table, you know, if I go in that table, results, if I'm going in that table, right? Oh, I don't know why it's doing this. Okay, but anyway, if I'm going in that table and I am creating one record, recorded, boom, created. It's slow when you import data, you know, it's slow. So you don't, and that's why I came to the rescue and I said, no, you're not going to import. And when you import, you don't trigger the auto entry calculation. So you can select the auto entry calculation you want to trigger, right? Like I show you in the script. So, and then you can post-process all the auto entry calculation on server, and then you have everything super fast because it's super optimized, right?
And I think that's probably a good point to wrap up, Nick, if you're good.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you think, Kyle? You agree or you don't agree? Using script perform task locally, auto entry perform then on the server. Yeah. Okay. So if I have the Kyle agreement, so I'm Kyle approved. So I'm saying good thing. No, it's not. I mean, look. It makes sense. I want you to experiment this. You know, I want to experiment this. First of all, use the common sense, like the current date, for example. I'm pretty sure. Who didn't know about the current stuff? The current date, you know, the current date field, and who didn't know about this trick?
Okay. I think Ruben mentioned earlier, but maybe I was mistaking that for something else. No comment on current date. Yeah.
Why?
He just mentioned that he wished he knew a lot of the stuff you taught earlier in his FileMaker career to make things much more smooth.
Okay, cool. No, it's so it makes sense. And for example, and then we go the age, for example. If you want to optimize this, right? You leave it alone. You have a let statement saying month DOB, okay, equal month of DOB, okay, and then you say month current, and you say month current date, okay, and then here, so you have a something like this, and you say you have a test. Oops, you have a test equal or month test, and you say equal, okay, and you said the month DOB equal month current. So doing this, you say if test, okay, then you do this, right? Otherwise, you do nothing. You leave it alone. So here you do an optimization. You change, I don't know why it said this, if this, oh, okay. So doing this, you say, whoa. The age of the guy will change only, why I put that, yeah. The age of the guy will change only if the current month equal the month of DOB. You understand? Your age won't, okay, I'm born in April, okay? In May, my age won't change. June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, up, April, it will change. So when the current month of April will match the month of April, right, you change the age, right? So you doing this, you optimize, so that means you ignore the calculation, right? And only if that, so you do a test on this. That is a test. So you said, oh, if this test, which is very simple test, right? If this test, then give me this. Otherwise, forget about it. Right?
Much more streamlined.
So makes sense, right? So everything you do in FileMaker needs to be optimized like this. So we call that optimization, right?
Yes, which is why this is called the Supra-Optimization series.
Okay. Exactly. Yeah.
I have one more question for you, Nick, and then we're going to wrap up. From Ken, can we post-process on new record creation as well?
Post-process on new creation?
Can we post-process on new record creation too?
No. You can't. You can block on new, you can on new, you can't. But yeah, but on new, you mean when you have a loop and you want to loop their creation like this, right? So when you have a loop and you want to create records in a loop and you have a lot of auto entry calculation and no, you cannot, unfortunately, you cannot block this. Yeah, with another table, but it's a big, yeah, I understand. On the new record, you cannot block it. You cannot block it. Only on the import, right? But on the new, it's not the same as importing. Yeah, it will slow down. Yeah, it will slow down.
But didn't think so, but I had to ask.
Yeah, but yeah, you do good. But you can create on server. Let me explain. Imports is pretty much, first of all, it's impossible to import from server, or very complicated, or you have a lot of limitations. When you want to import a file on server, when you want to use this on server, when you want to use this import record on server, you have a lot of limitation, and I might do a webinar out of this. Okay, so it makes sense on the import, because to import 99% of the time you need to import from your clients. So it was making sense to help to block those auto entry calculations. Now, when you do that, when you do a loop, new record, I strongly recommend that you do that on server. So if you do that on server, the difference with blocking the auto entry calculation or not blocking the auto entry calculation is impossible to see the difference. It's impossible. So on import, yes, because we are on the, what's the name? We are on the local, you are on the clients, local clients. But the loop on the new records, you can do that on server very easily. Do I answer the question? I hope so. I think so.
I think you did.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, we
With
can
that,
wrap up if you want. Yeah,
yeah.
you have an
Thank you
yeah.
very much, Nick. Seriously, this has been
Okay, yeah,
fantastic.
we need to schedule one or two other. Let's discuss
I figured we would. I figured we would discuss more of these, but we'll
yeah.
talk about that later. Uh, all right. Thank you, everyone. And I see that idea, Ruben. I'll bring that up with Nick. Uh,
Okay,
let's have a closing. Bye.
okay, bye.
Got a report of an individual up here who may be a FileMaker license. Well, it's potentially expired. Look at the back of that car right there. Looks like the FileMaker license has expired. Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle. Sir, step out of the vehicle. Sir!